Britain is a nation of animal lovers, but some are a little more obsessed than others.
No pounds grabbing at anything that moves.
Absolutely sure.
So they're big animals, but they're very intelligent and they're very gentle underwater.
These nature nuts go to extraordinary lengths to get closer to the animals they love.
Are you alright, Hazel?
I'm fine.
Well, I hope you're enjoying this at home.
I'm going to be hunting high and low with my nature nuts for the UK's most adorable creatures.
Come back with that egg.
Every time I see a dormouse, I still go, oh.
And I'm taking this film crew in cheap clothing with me.
Maureen, get in the car. Try not to scratch.
I haven't been this excited since I got stuck in a lift with the England rugby team, and I know this is going to be just as much fun. I'm on a quest to meet some of Britain's most fanatical nature enthusiasts.
In order to ensure that my soon-to-be best friends are thrilled to meet me, I'm going to enlist the help of, quite simply, some of the finest wildlife camera people in the world. They've got skills and equipment that the average nature enthusiast can only dream of.
It's my plan to show these nature nuts the animals they love in an entirely new light. Later, I'll be looking for tawny owls and dormice, but first I'm going in search of the UK's largest predator, the grey seal. My agent tells me there's nothing in my contract about staying warm and dry on this show.
Hello, I'm in Northumberland. Isn't it lovely? In a kind of Cape Bush sort of way.
I'm heading to the Farne Islands, a short boat trip away from here, but I'm not going alone. I'm here to meet a seal-obsessed doctor.
Hello, Julian. Suitably rugged, standing by an open boot.
Ben Burville is going to take me snorkeling in the North Sea, where he's promised we can meet his seals face to face. All very exciting. By day, he's a busy GP, but when he's not doctoring, this nature nut spends hours getting up close and personal with the 6,000 local grey seals. And over the years, he's managed to capture some incredible footage of them. Look. Here is a seal using a sandy seabed for a full-body exfoliation. And who hasn't wanted to hold hands with a grey seal? But there's one aspect of their lives that's eluded him, and I'll help him with that later. But first, let's see what travel arrangements are on offer.
Have you got a vehicle in mind?
There's a luxury boat just over the edge here. It's the Glad Tidings 7.
Oh, it's full of northern men.
It is.
Who's that man there?
That's William.
Hello, William.
Hello!
You-hoo!
Yoo-hoo!
Can you squeeze me in?
Yes, squeezing on.
In.
In. On.
It's a bit slippy.
Okay, don't worry about me.
My slingbacks have a very good grip on them.
I think I need more than one
Put your head
now.
on here, that's it.
Another boat's going the wrong way.
No, don't worry about that. The worst thing that can happen is you'll fall in. Just take your risk.
Oh, there we
Watch your
are.
head, just watch your head.
I'm here. Nobody panic.
They don't go in for sunshine in the northeast, and my camera woman Maureen is wearing several layers of waterproof lingerie. It's a grim day, but nothing is going to dampen Ben's infectious enthusiasm. I want to know how his obsession with grey seals began. Be careful what you wish for.
It was actually my wife Kirsty who made the first interaction with the seal. She was diving just off where we are going to be today. She had a piece of weed in her hand and she threw the weed up and the seal brought the weed back to her. I was watching thinking, what is she doing? And she took the weed again and threw it up and the seal took the weed and brought it back to her. And from then I was quite hooked really.
I suspect this is the first of many breathless anecdotes Ben will be sharing with me.
You weigh about, say, 80, 85 kilograms, maybe 90 kilograms. An adult male grey seal weighs about 220, 230 kilograms. So they're big animals, but they're very intelligent and they're very gentle underwater.
As am I. But won't it be cold in the North Sea?
You've got your own central heating method, which is, I'm sure, I'll leave that to your imagination. I'd encourage you to do that because that warm seeping feeling you get will definitely keep you warm underwater.
What?
Drink plenty and you'll find out.
I'm not incontinent. You're not suggesting.
Well, I think any diver who tells you that they don't wee in their suit is a liar.
No, I don't want you weeing next to me.
You'll never know.
I can assure the viewer I will not be weeing in my suit. Well, I'm ready for this experience.
Okay.
And where are your changing facilities?
The changing facilities are just at the front of the boat. Okay? I'll see you when you're ready.
It's a line time, isn't it?
To think I once played the London Palladium. Maureen has been on the rough side again, and I don't blame her. My mother told me to be very careful whenever I'm out of my depth.
Right then.
But Ben assures me inflating my ring is unnecessary on this occasion. Take 2.
Right then. I'm ready for my salty sea experience.
Come this way. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh dear. I've watched too many carry-on films, I think. Carry on diving. Where were you when I had a drama then? I was with the captain.
But swimming with seals has its dangers, so I've insisted on an experienced diver whose only interest in life is my safety.
Mind if I called you Bertha the bodyguard?
That's fine by me. When you're ready, Julian.
There you are, Bertha.
Alright.
I'll just need my flippers and my mask. Do you do nightclub work as well?
I'm bonding rather well with these rough and ready types, I feel. And my celebrity charisma is radiating out in all directions. I see that some of my fans even have flippers and whiskers.
Oh, there it is. Oh, they can't wait for me to get in the water. Won't be long.
As Bertha prepares herself for me, Ben's keen that I keep my energy levels up.
Who'd have thought? A chocolate finger at this time.
I promise. Just give it another spin. Just give it round.
But I've just had chocolate.
Don't worry about it. Mine's full of chocolate. Go on, just a spin. Don't worry about the chocolate. Just...
I haven't got any spit left. It's no good saying go on. I haven't got any. I just have a drink of water. Don't you spit in it.
Yeah, that's better.
Oh, I spat in here.
Sorry, don't worry. Just give it a rub round.
Always been my motto.
Understood.
I should be into the toilet.
What, for a pee?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what did I tell you?
Ready to go?
I'm ready. Well, I hope you're enjoying this at home.
Right, you ready for Julian, like?
Yes, I'm ready for Julian.
Couldn't be anyone after all this, couldn't it? Christopher Biggins.
I say go, Julian. You count to 5. Get hold of your mask and jump in. Okay, stand by. Go.
I'm not quite ready.
Okay, when you're ready, take a deep breath.
Is it cold?
No, it's lovely and warm. It's lovely and warm. Yeah. Go. Go.
Why am I hitting my head on this?
You won't do. Just step right out. On 3, ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
Within moments, I'm cavorting in the sea like a mermaid. The years I spent in the gay men's synchronized swimming team have finally paid off.
When I first saw you, I was deep in clear blue water.
Seals come from far and wide to catch a glimpse of me.
Your soft skin and you jumped in with your eyes closed and a smile on your face was sitting.
I'm reliably informed they often dive to 60 meters when feeding, but can reach 300. And when seals go down, they can hold their breath for 20 minutes.
Oh, keep walking on stars. After the rain comes on, after the sun comes raining.
Those big spaniel eyes looking adoringly at me, and I don't mean Bertha. Most impressive of all, when diving, their hearts slow down to just 4 beats per minute. Mine, on the other hand, is going like they're clappers. It's a dreamlike experience for all of us. Unable to contain himself, this seal moves in for a spot of fin nibbling. This is probably the beginning of a courting ritual, so Bertha suggests we finish our dive before things become more amorous.
Wonderful. I quite understand why you come.
You can understand why I spent hours at the bottom of the sea now.
They're all very different, aren't they?
Yeah, some of them are bold and some of them are a little bit more
One in
cautious.
particular who's very bold
Yeah.
and kept coming back to me, and biting to me.
There's a seal just crashing the party. Hello.
Oh, it's that one that likes me. That's him. Yoo-hoo, I'm over here. And I'll tell you something else.
Yeah.
I managed to keep myself nice. I didn't have a wee.
Oh.
No, I think I need to get out of the cold water. Go and have something hot and northern to warm me up.
Very good.
What would that be?
Hot tea's always good.
Oh, I was thinking of something hot or
Hot tea's good.
a bit of old scragget. Isn't that what you eat in the north?
This poor seal looks decidedly tearful once I'm back on the boat. I expect he'll write.
There's an amazing world under there, and they're so playful, they're so elegant and funny. They've got these funny eyes that appear all around you, like they swim around you. They're very balletic children.
When my post-seal euphoria wears off, I feel I need Dr. Ben's attention again, but for a very different reason.
It's quite possible to round my day off that I may be sick. Maureen's looking a bit yellow, but that's not unusual for her.
What we probably need to do is get you on some dry land.
The journey back doesn't improve things. I need to get off the boat as a matter of urgency. It's disappointing, as I've planned a special night dive for Ben, which I'm definitely too seasick to attend.
Well, I'm mighty relieved to be back on Northumberland soil. Let me stand by the rails.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Well, anyway, it's not going to spoil my enjoyment.
No, hopefully it didn't detract from what you saw underwater.
I'll never ever forget that.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was my pleasure.
I mean, you've been studying the seals for how long?
About 14 years now.
In all that time, Ben has never been able to find out what the seals do at night, although he suspects they may be busy mating. I've invited world-renowned underwater cameraman Michael Pitts to help us break new ground. He'll be using a special underwater camera that can film in almost total darkness and discover the nighttime goings-on amongst the seals. It's dangerous, and the first time this has ever been tried.
I'm going to lie down in a darkened room.
Do that. All right, Julian, we'll see. Hopefully see you later.
Okay, have fun out there. Bye-bye.
As the light starts to fade, Ben and Mike are heading out to the Piccadilly Circus of daytime seal activity. It's a cruel twist of fate that I am too sick to be there, making history on a boat full of northern seamen. I'm in Northumberland to see nature nut Dr. Ben Burville. Seasickness prevented me from taking part in his groundbreaking night dive. Now I've recovered, I'm desperate to hear how he got on.
What's your name?
But to see a doctor, you've got to make an appointment.
Okay, thank you.
Ben wanted to discover if seals are as busy in the water at night as they are during the day, something of a mystery in seal expert circles. The doctor will see me now.
And how did you get on without me?
Well, it was a really, really interesting dive, to be honest. Because when we went out there, it was still light. And we got out there and we got to a site there were loads of seals.
Night diving can be dangerous. Normally the divers rely on powerful torches to see, but bright lights change the seal's behavior. so Ben and Mike had to dive without using them. I want to be transported there.
Can I lie on your couch?
By all means, make yourself comfortable. The mist had lifted a little, and as we went into the water, it was getting very dark.
They're barely able to see each other as they plunge into the pitch-black North Sea. With Ben's description, it doesn't take me long to become immersed in the threatening world I missed.
Michael, can you see me, over? Okay, follow me, stay really close.
We were using a little bit of a red light just to sort of boost the light that the camera was getting, because it's pitch black underneath there.
It's only the sensitivity of the camera that makes it possible for us to see anything. For Ben and Mike, all they can see is a dim red glow.
Got a little bit of red light about me in front of you.
During the day, this area is full of frolicking seals, but it's soon clear that right now, Ben and Mike are alone.
There were no seals in the water. And what we did see when we got here was a lot of seals on the land. So the question is, are they sleeping? Because they're not in here. They're just going to make some noises.
Unable to see what might be around him, Ben does his best seal impersonation to try and attract any that might be in the water.
Hey, there's a seal, there's a seal. There's one there, just on my light. Did you get that? Did you see it?
Thanks to the starlight camera, you at home can see the seal more clearly than the faint glimpse Ben and Mike got.
We saw one seal that made a sort of little dash just in front of me.
Before this dive, scientists thought that these seals are as active during the night as they are during the day. But is this true?
From what we saw, the answer is no. And what I think may be happening is at night they're actually hauling out onto the rocks and really sleeping and relaxing and really getting the most energy they can from the food that they've eaten.
But you're glad you went?
Yes, doing something that's never been done in British waters before. Filming seals at night with a camera that's never been used in British waters before, was a real, exciting experience.
Well, I feel much better for that, thank you. Your descriptive powers are marvellous.
Well, there we have it. Thank you, Dr. Ben. We've made a little bit of history together. I expect you have other patients. I hear scurvy is rife round these parts. But it's time to move on. I'm meeting my next nature nut, Dave Cully, on dry land in Northwich in Cheshire. After a series of dreadful motorcycle crashes that left his legs and life in pieces, Dave turned to his childhood passion for solace, wildlife. My Nature Nuts riverside home is a haven for animals and a magnet for birds of prey. Dave has spent 12 years filming his birds, first sparrowhawks, and now a more aggressive bird, and I'm not talking Anne Robinson. Tawny owls are his latest obsession. They've taken over his life. And after my recent encounters with barn owls and little owls, it's a passion we share.
How many hours of footage have you got now then of the owls?
The tawny owls themselves, about 7,000 I'd say roughly.
And this is just a one-man thing? This is just you?
This is just a one-man band, yeah.
Sounds like you need help.
I only need help with the filming Julian. I'd like someone to actually come into that and relieve me.
You've come to the right place. And they can be quite ferocious, can't they, tawny owls?
Very ferocious. It's known that they've taken the photographer's eye out, took his eye clear out.
Do you hear that? That could be you.
Yeah. You should be wearing a crash helmet.
Yeah, with the visor down.
With the visor down.
For several reasons.
Yeah.
Can we have a look at what you've got?
Of course you can.
I'm moist with anticipation of what Dave might have in store, as he shows me the adorable baby owls born this year that he's captured on an infrared camera.
They're
shot here, Julian, is the pair of tawny owls now, round about 9.5 weeks old.
They may look cute, but Dave assures me they won't be for long.
And they're laying in to eat, tear prey and pluck the feathers off it. They'll walk on the branch and they'll pounce and dive, grabbing at anything that moves on that bark.
Learning how to pounce.
Learning how to pounce, yes.
It's very good at it already, let's face it.
But, you know, you should have the skills to actually capture a mouse.
Is this all filmed in your garden?
It's all filmed in my garden.
Show me the real thing.
Dave's garden is an acre of woodland in which he's installed 16 cameras and over 2 kilometres of cable to film everything that moves.
You look just up to these trees here now. We've got the hide. Just watch your head when you come through, Doc.
Oh, it's like a little doll's house. Yeah. Oh, carpet on the walls. That's a nice touch.
It's got to be quiet, Julian, when you're filming owls.
Oh, I see. It's not a fashion thing.
No, you can't hear any footsteps whatsoever.
So what do you look at out here?
Dave tells me the owls are roosting at the moment and won't be out until dark. But they're not the only birds in this nature nuts garden. 16 different types of songbird nest here. And his bird feeders also attract wood mice. I love these little creatures with their big eyes and bigger ears. And it turns out that Dave's owls love them too.
So, Dave, with all the hundreds of hours you spent in these dens, filming away at your tawny owls, is there any particular aspect that you haven't managed to capture?
I need to prove that the baby owls now can actually hunt for themselves and catch prey.
A baby tawny owl diving down, catching something.
Yes. I know then that they've got a good chance of survival when they're pushed out here in 6 weeks' time, because a good 60% of these babies just won't make it.
When the fully grown chicks are chased away by their parents, they'll have to fend for themselves. It's time to try and film the one shot that Dave hasn't got.
I've invited a friend of mine to have a mooch round your woods. Have you heard of Justine Evans?
The camera lady?
Yes, that's the one.
This is actually here, is she?
She's up a ladder here, yes. She's ever so butch. She doesn't wear makeup or deodorant or anything.
I can hear you.
Hi. Justine, this is Dave.
It's a great pleasure.
Listen, his life isn't complete unless he can see a young owl diving down and catching something. And this is a shot beyond Maureen. She can only film people and plants.
Right, okay. I think I probably can help, because I've got a hide set up already. I've got a very light sensitive camera, and I've got the IR light set up.
Justine's infrared lights are invisible to the owls and will help her high-definition Starlight camera film detailed shots of the owlets in total darkness.
You can do it, Justine. You
Yeah.
can film panthers and elephants.
I know, but owls are really tricky.
Are they? Why?
Well, because it's dark, you can't see where they are, they're flying, they're moving around rapidly, and also these youngsters, presumably they could be bringing their kill anywhere. Why here?
Why this spot?
For the past 12 years, all the activity of any bird of prey has been around this swallow tree. They do all the courtship, they do the mating here.
It's the Magaluf of the owl world.
Well, this is going to be a new experience for me. A night in the woods with Dave and Justine, and not a stick of mascara between us. I'm in Cheshire with Dave Cully and specialist camerawoman Justine Evans, using an ultra-sensitive camera to film young tawny owls on their first hunt at night. I'm now going to ramp up the sense of excitement by whispering quite a lot.
Well, this is the hide now. We are patiently waiting for the baby owls. Dave's got rather tense. It's like being in some horror film. The lighting is not very flattering. No. Do you think I look a bit more owl-like if I put my hood up?
Perfect.
I feel more owl-like.
Well, what the female owl would say now to the male is twit.
Dave, you've made a joke. You're laughing at your own jokes.
Yeah. It's a new one, that's why.
Justine, is down there in her own little hide.
Hi, Julian. Can you hear that roll?
I'd say that catch you somewhere. It's very like a squeaky toy, isn't it? Yes, it is.
Come on, baby owl. Come and fly over here.
There, right. It's landed there now. That is in front of Justine's camera now.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Oh, fantastic. That's definitely one of the youngsters. It's a beautiful little owl.
Is that a baby? That's a baby, yeah. It's doing a bit of staging.
I'm transfixed by the beauty of this owl. Those large orb-like eyes have the best night vision of all the owls, 100 times better than our own. Justine's starlight camera clearly picks up the other owlet arriving.
They tend to follow each other about. They don't like to be apart too much.
Time to see if we can prove that these baby owlets can hunt for themselves. They're certainly looking peckish. One of them swoops down off the branch, but it comes back empty-taloned.
I know this isn't quite the hunting we were expecting, but it's nice to see the owl, nevertheless.
Well, yes, this is a small comfort, but I'm distraught. I feel as if I've made Dave a promise I can't keep. The shame of it.
Hello, Justine. It's not really happening, is it?
It's the way it goes sometimes with wildlife filmmaking.
We haven't got the footage you wanted. The shot will come whether it takes another 100 hours or another 1,000 hours. I understand. It really needs to be an obsession, doesn't it? It does. You've got to dedicate your life to that animal. You've got to come here and live with these birds. Well, I'm full of admiration. Thank you very much.
Thankfully, this incredible nature nut is inspired by Justine's extraordinary night shots. And after 2 long weeks and many patient hours, Dave finally films the proof that one of his owlets is starting to hunt. It's good to know that at least this little owlet is able to fend for itself. Let's enjoy Dave's amazing shot one more time. Well done, Dave. A true nature nut. I'm starting the long journey back to my home, but not before I make a little diversion to Herne Bay in Kent. Dave's wood mice reminded me how much I like small fairy creatures, and I've discovered a nature nut who's devoted her life to them. The appropriately named Hazel Ryan is nuts about one of the UK's most endangered mammals, the dormouse. Dormice are the more elusive cousins of wood mice. They live in hedgerows and the treetops of our woodlands, and Hazel spends a lot of her free time monitoring their wild populations.
It's a lactating female. Yes, she's got babies then in there.
There are only 40,000 dormice left in the UK, terribly low if you think there are 40 million wood mice. Hazel's day job is here at the Wildwood Sanctuary, where she runs a captive breeding program for dormice and water voles that she releases back into the wild. I'm sure there must be something I can do to help, and I come bearing gifts.
I'm reliably informed that this nifty bit of gadgetry is going to come in very handy indeed.
But more of that later.
This is where Hazel spends her days. Oh, there she's in a cage. Hazel!
Oh, hi Julian. Come to see my dormice.
Oh, yes.
Do you want to come in?
Yes. I'm slightly claustrophobic.
Oh dear, okay.
I'll be alright. Now
Yeah,
shut
we
the
should
door
be
behind
okay.
us.
We need to shut the doors to stop them from coming out.
Is there room for Maureen on camera?
Just about.
Mind she doesn't touch you. Okay, you'll have to go in that corner. How many dormice have you got here?
Oh, we've got about 30 at the moment.
Okay.
So should we have a look and see what's in the box?
Come on then. Open your box, Hazel.
They're here.
This box contains 2 dormice brothers.
So let's see if I can get one out.
Yes.
but they're really fat.
They're fat and sleepy. Oh, look at that. I have a feeling if I move my hands, it's going to be up my sleeve. Let's look at you. There we are. Look at those little eyes. Is this your favourite animal, do you think?
I think so, yeah. Every time I see a dormouse, I still go, oh, even though I've seen them hundreds of times. Oh, look. Yeah, see, look how cute he is.
Looking round. And there's the director. There's the home help.
Dormice are brilliant climbers, and when they want to be, they're very agile. But there's one other thing that they are particularly skilled at. As if you didn't know, the dormouse gets its name from the Latin dormire, meaning to sleep, and these guys are sleep obsessed. They hibernate for 6 months. In fact, there are only native small rodent that truly hibernates. And after all that running around, this little one is keen to get to the land of Nod.
Yeah, that's like sort of little Disney pose, isn't it?
Ever since I watched the Dormouse in Alice in Wonderland, I've always wanted to get close to these sleepy little rodents.
Makes me feel tired looking at them.
Other mice can live for 2 years, but because they hibernate, dormice can live for 9. However, all this constant kipping comes with a drawback.
Generally, dormice don't start breeding until maybe July or even August, and they only often have time for just 1 litter of young.
Right.
And that's why they're quite rare now, because if the population goes down, it takes a long time for them to recover, because they maybe only have 4 or 5 babies per year.
Yes.
Whereas other small mammals might have a litter of 10 every 3 weeks.
Yes, yes. Has he actually gone to sleep here?
I think you might be thinking about sleeping. He obviously likes your hands.
Yes. You're not the first. But I can feel this lovely, warm, radiating, slightly quivering, living thing here. The size of your porky. That's the sweetest thing, isn't it?
Yes, they are cute, aren't they?
What I like to do when I'm travelling round and meet someone doing marvellous things like you, that I take a liking to, is ask what I can do to help. What would help your research, and what would help the dormice?
It would be great to get some cameras in here and actually see what they like to eat, because we give them various different natural foods in the autumn, but we don't know which they prefer.
We can do that. Okay, that's your wish.
It's hard to drag myself away, but I'll manage.
I'm going to paste the dormouse through the hole. See you in the spring. Look.
The other one's probably sitting in the way. That's probably what it is.
When you're ready.
See?
And the tail's hanging out. How funny. I'm quite envious of their lifestyle, sleeping for 6 months. Wake up slim.
My team get to work setting up the trail cam. Hazel usually feeds her dormice fruit, but has a suspicion that they may prefer wild berries. So she collects some hawthorn, rowan, guelder rose and dogwood and places them alongside their usual fruit. By using the trail cam's night vision, she's able to tell what they prefer by seeing what they eat first. It turns out they go for the berries over the fruit time and time again, particularly hawthorn. Very useful information for Hazel.
That's interesting, because that's a species that is found a lot in old hedgerows. That's very useful for us to know, because it means that we need to give them the sort of food that they would normally find in the wild. And of course we're losing a lot of our hedgerows, so it shows how important hedgerows are for our dormice.
Who'd have thought it? I've made a significant contribution to dormouse science. Now Hazel's expertise doesn't just stop at dormice, and as I drive home, I have a brainwave. Wouldn't it be wonderful if Hazel could spend a few hours in the garden of my very own luxury home? Maybe she can find out what animals I'm living cheek by jowl with, apart from the more obvious ones. Then she might like to tackle my ironing. As a conservation officer, Hazel monitors small mammal populations and has some nifty humane traps, providing 5-star accommodation for anything that might venture in.
See? Trap, tunnel. Now, where should we put it?
Well, I thought underneath this hazel tree would be really good.
Okay, I'm going in.
Well, we're hoping for things like wood mice and bank voles.
Oh, I like a wood mouse. I'm not going in there, they're stinging nettles.
Do you want me to put this one in?
Yeah, I'll watch.
Okay.
Are you all right, Hazel?
I'm fine.
How about the compost heap?
Yeah, I think that'd be a really good place because compost heaps are nice and warm, so they're good nest sites for small mammals.
And I've got very good quality compost, if I say so myself.
That'd be great.
I've stung myself. I'll just suffer. I may limp.
We mark the traps so we can find them in the morning, but before she turns her attention to my ironing, I show Hazel something sinister by the poultry enclosure. Something a bit bigger than a mouse is forcing its way through my fence to nibble on my plums in the night. I have a suspicion it's a badger, but Hazel's not so sure.
If it was a badger, you'd probably see another track going up on the bank on the other side. Because badgers are creatures of habit, so they like to go the same way every night, so they tend to
So it might not
wear
be
a
a
path.
badger. It's that woman from the post office crawling through.
Time to put the camera trap to more good use. It's triggered by motion, so should catch the offender red-handed.
Right, let's strap it to the tree and be done with it.
Hopefully by the morning we'll find out who the culprit is, and crucially if my chickens and ducks are safe. Hazel's knowledge of all things small and furry knows no bounds.
Your house looks like it's the sort of place that bats might use as a roost. Have you ever seen any bats around here?
How dare you? What do you mean? Why would they want to live in my roof?
Well, it's the sort of age of house, the type of tiles, nice big attic. It's the sort of place that long-eared bats like to roost.
I have a very roomy attic. I have seen them flying around.
Have you? In the evenings?
Yes.
Might be worth us coming to have a look one evening.
Would you like to slip your head through my hatch? And I don't offer that opportunity to everyone, Hazel.
I'd love to do that.
My kind of gal.
By tomorrow I'll know who is cavorting in my compost, and whether there's more than just a wasp's nest in my roof.
It's not a Benny Hill sketch. Wait.
After travelling round the country, I'm back home in rural bliss. It's good to see my dogs, chickens and ducks, but after my nature nut adventures, I'm intrigued to see what other more elusive animals I share my home with. Yesterday, Hazel and I laid some traps, and today is the big day.
Do you know, I've hardly slept with the excitement.
It's exciting to know what we're going to find.
Oh, a clipboard.
Oh yes, we have to record everything we find.
Come on round then. Weather since last trip round. Breezy, gusty, still.
Later on, I'll be looking for squatters in my attic. But first, who was rampaging round my garden while I was sleeping between my satin effect sheets?
We're just going to open the trap up and hopefully the mouse will jump out.
Ooh.
Right, with a lively one.
Oh, it's a mouse.
This is a wood mouse, just like the ones I saw in Dave Cully's garden. They are our most common mouse and can produce 70 babies a year. Time to fill in Hazel's small mammal survey.
Reproductive condition. Desperate. Shall we release him then?
I think that's a good idea, yeah. We don't want to stress him anymore.
Don't worry, the plastic bags are only used to identify them before we release them quickly.
Straight out.
Basically, as soon as the female's given birth, she makes again within 24 hours. So,
Yeah, they did that in Ashford as well, didn't they?
so they don't live very long because they're usually exhausted by the end of the year.
What a way to go. Something other than a mouse this time.
Oh no, she might just sit.
The next animal we discover is a bank vole. It's the lovely reddish coat and small ears that give it away. It's related to the water vole, but much smaller.
What's he doing? Ooh, comments. A very nice vole. Pleasant personality. calm, centred, lovely brown fur. Walk this way.
The other animal we find is more of a surprise.
What is it?
Wow, it's a shrew. That's really exciting.
Isn't it?
This is a common shrew which usually hangs out in woodlands, not gardens. This insectivore needs to consume 3 times its body weight each day just to survive. It hardly sleeps, having to hunt continuously during the day and night.
No. I've never seen a shrew before. It's one of my favourites. The darling little shrew just yards from my own home, my neighbour. She's gone.
Without Hazel's traps, I'd never have found out who's living in my garden. But what will the trail cam reveal?
Looks like a movie set, doesn't it?
It's a visual treat. A robin standoff, a squirrel, a bid for freedom by Maureen, my wayward chicken. But what about at night?
So this is at 10 to 1 in the morning.
Right. Not much happening, is there?
Oh, what's that? It is a badger.
It's a badger, yeah, no, you can see his stripes.
The little minx. Just as I thought. I think the badger's just after the fruit.
Yeah, this time of year they do eat a lot of fruit.
The nerve of it. Oh, well, that's a relief in that it's not a fox.
Your chickens and ducks are safer now.
Yes, he's very welcome as an occasional visitor.
And badgers prefer earthworms anyway.
That's a comfort.
He can have as many of my earthworms as he likes, and my hens are safe. Or are they? Shriek! A fox! I shall get a man in to fix my fence as a matter of urgency. As if Hazel hadn't revealed enough about the wildlife on my doorstep, she's back for one more evening with a gaggle of local nature nuts.
Well, I'm glad to see you all in your matching fleeces. Come on in.
Thank you very much.
This is the Kent Bat Society. You couldn't make it up, could you? They're going to finish off my home's animal census.
You managing, John?
Yes.
Come on up. Okay, here is the hatch entrance. So, do your thing with your ladder.
As John and Hazel explore my rafters, outside Malcolm is using a thermal imaging camera to film flying bats. These show up as hot white dots in the sky. But do any live in my roof?
Bon voyage.
Go on.
I don't think I've ever been, well, I haven't ever been up there. I've no need to. There may be dust. I've not had a squirt and a wipe in the loft since I moved here, John.
There will be spiders.
Spiders.
Shirley is outside using a bat detector. This nifty gizmo turns their high-pitched squeaks into clicks we can hear. Bats listen to the echoes to find their way and hunt in the darkness. It's called echolocation.
I found some bats.
Did you?
Yeah.
How many? What sort?
Brown ones. Right up between the beams.
What were they doing?
They were just roosting, they're just hanging.
Oh, I'm like a proud parent.
Yes, you are.
That's really exciting. Put this back because we don't want to disturb them.
Okay. What shall I call them? Hazel and John.
Hazel and Jane.
Why?
Because they will both be female.
Lesbian bats in my loft.
Alas, we can't film them in the loft because it's an offence to disturb roosting bats. So instead, we go outside to watch my lesbian bats flying around. And according to Shirley's bat detector, it looks like there's another type of bat crashing the party.
This is a common pipistrelle, which echolocates calls on about 45 kilohertz.
Shirley is a fountain of information about all things batty.
June, that's the time to watch in the evening to see them come out. Or, even better, are you an early riser? Or
I beg your pardon. That's no kind of talk. I only just met you. How long do they live?
You only know how old they are if they've actually been marked and ringed. Pipistrelles, many have been known to live 16 years.
Oh, right.
And the record for a small bat, one was found some years ago hibernating in Siberia, and it was over 40 years before that it had been ringed, which is quite extraordinary.
The team have brought along a long-eared bat, just like the pair in my loft. This one was injured by a cat. Thanks to Hazel, it's okay, but it will never fly again.
Just my glasses on. Which way up is it? Ooh!
That's the face.
Hang on. It's like a little monkey face. Is that the...
Well, you can see she's got big eyes.
Yes,
Because
yes.
people say bats are blind. It's not true at all.
I thought the nose was the eyes, but that's...
And at the moment, her ears are folded up.
Tiny, aren't they? No idea they were so tiny. I mean, her face is smaller than my nail. An incredibly expressive little face.
The posh science name for bats is Chiroptera, which means hand wing.
And where are the wings then?
Her wings are tucked away at the sides.
Yeah.
If I just open one very gently, you'll be able to see.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Long-eared are bats designed for flying through trees in woodland, so they have very broad but narrow wings. So
Beautiful colour, aren't they?
And the wing is basically
Yes,
her hand. Up here, that little hook is her thumb. And these are all her fingers, which have grown really long and have skin in between them, so they're sort of webbed. And it's very, very delicate, but very elastic.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the sound of my voice, but suddenly it's all ears.
Well, it's a marvelous night for a mud.
It does this by pumping blood into them. As they expand, you can see why they're perfect for listening to the high-pitched squeaks bouncing back off their prey. This truly is the Prince Charles of the bat world.
Oh, it's magnificent, isn't it? It's like a cockatoo or something.
And with that, my evening is complete. Do join me for more wildlife adventures next time, when I'll meet some new nature nuts.
So why do you like beavers so much? Just the pure tranquility of them, just the way they just go about their business nice and quietly. Just the joy in seeing them.
Come face to face with one of these.
Steer around the wing tight. You stupid cow.
Until then, goodbye, and stay nutty.
Well, we find out what our travel guides think of Dubai tomorrow night at 9. But next tonight here on ITV, a magic trick that ends in disaster in Midsummer Murders. While over on ITV3 next, a fascinating look behind the scenes of the Hotel in the Clouds.